What's up? What's up? What's good? It is your girl Katie, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncovered podcast, the podcast you're obsessed with. It is episode 9, I believe. And I got my girl with me. I got my girl Ronnie, the Veronica, however you know her. She got multiple names, but it's all good because her family call her Ronnie. So we're just gonna call her Ronnie today.
Okay? I guess I'm Ronnie then.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie?
Hey, girl.
Welcome back to the Uncovered podcast. How you feeling, girl?
I'm feeling great. I couldn't be better, actually.
I'm feeling great just as well. I'm feeling good. I'm looking and I'm feeling how I look.
You're feeling how you look. I like it.
I'm feeling how I look.
I'm feeling how I look. I like it.
You know
okay,
why? Because it's just a great day. It's a great week. It's a great month. And it's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
What's the celebration?
It is my birthday month. It's
our birthday month, actually. It's your birthday week.
It's my birthday week. You know, I'm celebrating the whole month, of course.
Okay, I'm celebrating the whole month too, but I'm trying to let you have the first half of the month. Okay. So and then I have the second half of the month.
I'll do the first half, you know what I'm saying?
So when is your actual birthday?
My birthday is coming up, you know, this Friday, the 13th, August the 13th. You know, rub that in a little bit. You know, remember that. That's an important day.
And mine.
Don't ever forget that day.
Oh, wow.
Again, you know, in the future.
Mine is 10 days later on August 23rd. Okay. And that is, yes, Kobe Bryant's birthday. So recognize the Virgo gang. Yes.
Kobe Bryant.
May he rest in peace. We love you, Kobe. Actually, I became a Kobe Bryant fan because of his birthday matching mine. Like, I love that. But then
that's dope. I did not realize his birthday was on the 23rd.
Yeah, it's dope. And then like I think they made like this Kobe Bryant day on the next day, August 24th, because that was his number. So 8/24 day, we're gonna celebrate. 8/23 day, we're gonna celebrate.
And we just celebrate all August anyway.
All of August, you know, because we got it. It's our time to shine. You know what I'm saying? They took away your 30 last year.
I know.
And then my 30 this year. We gonna figure it out.
We're gonna turn up for your birthday.
Yes.
We turned up for my birthday. And I mean, it's just a great, we just feel good, you know, like in lieu of whatever the hell is going on with this damn world and
this variant
that got our normal not normal. It's all good because we just gonna figure it out. And
why don't you share some light on what you plan to do for your birthday?
What I plan to do for my birthday? Well, I'm going out. I'm getting on one, of course. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have a great time. I'm trying to experience some Black-owned businesses.
Yes.
You know, because I think it's really important.
And you went to one last weekend, right?
What did I do last weekend?
You went to a coffee shop or some brunch place, I think. I don't know. I texted you and that's where you said you was at.
Oh no, yeah, I took Crystal when she was down here. I took
what
her
was the name of the place?
But that wasn't a Black-owned restaurant. I found out that wasn't. That's just the place I've been wanting to go to, which is like Black Walnut Cafe. It's really good. You would like it if you go. But it wasn't Black-owned. I thought it was too, but it wasn't. But yeah, I'm trying to experience some Black-owned restaurant, just support, you know, and just pour into our community. Circulate our dollar within our community on my birthday, and why not, you know? So especially if I'm gonna spend some money, I'd rather put it in the hands and in the pockets of people like me. So I'm going to go listen to some live music. I'm looking forward to that. I love to do that. And then Saturday, you know, I want to do something on Saturday, but I haven't really picked or decided yet. And then on Sunday, you already know we're going to go have a Sunday fun day. So it's lit. It's up and it's stuck. And we're about to have a great time this weekend, regardless if it's Friday the 13th. Anytime a 13th and it's August and it's my birthday, it's going to be a great day. So whatever superstitions that you know, associate with Friday the 13th, fuck all that. It's up. And we're about to have a great time. So
I'm ready, girl. Let's do it.
I hope so. I hope you're ready because I'm already ready. Here, take a shot.
Yeah.
We're going to take a sip to my birthday. another sip to your birthday. And yeah, it's all good.
So what we talking about today, girl?
So yeah, so the conversation today, because I was just in deep thought about this conversation, and I was like, this would be a good conversation to kind of bring up in regards to commitment.
Commitment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I even posed this question to my coworkers because I was like, I want to hear their opinion because they're a little bit older than I am, and they think their thought process on life is different from mine.
Because they're older?
Well, yeah, it has a lot to do with our age, right? Me being a millennial, them being whatever they are. And I just, it's like we be on two different pages a lot of times, but they be so enamored with the things that I say, and especially the questions that I pose, because I'm very analytical and I'm a deep thinker already. So anyway, I was asking them, I was like, what is the difference? And you tell me if you have an opinion in this regard. What is the difference between a commitment and a promise without using either word to describe the other?
The difference between a commitment and a promise.
Yeah, the difference between a commitment and a promise. Because when you think about it, a lot of times people use either word to define the other one. And if they're the same or synonymous to each other, what would enable the difference? What would create the difference between the two? If you get what I'm saying.
So to me, a commitment is basically like an agreement that you have to yourself and to that person to abide by whatever parameters or limits that they place on whatever that commitment is, right? But it's basically an agreement between y'all two. So if I'm committed to, say for instance, like coming to one podcast a month and being a part of a podcast per month, that's just an agreement that we have. I am committed to that agreement, whether we put it in writing, whether we don't put it in writing. That's my commitment. It's not a promise, but it's a commitment. Whereas a promise to me is more like fantasy language, but it's more or less an assurance as opposed to like an agreement. It's like, I assure you that this will be done. And either way, both of them seem kind of binding, but neither one of them are really just binding like that. Like, I guess nothing is binding unless it's like, your life is on the line, or your finances are on the line, or your assets are on the line. But like something, when you think about a promise, it's like, I promise you, I assure you that I'm going to, come back over here after work, or I'm coming over here after work. I assure you that I'm going to make it on time for this class or this podcast or this event that you're going to. I promise you, I assure you that that's what I'm going to do. But, that's just me. That's one-sided. So like a promise is one-sided, whereas a commitment is two-sided. Like a commitment is saying, I promise to a commitment is saying that I'm going to guarantee you that this is what I'm going to do. It's an agreement saying, do you understand that this is what I'm going to do? You're like, okay, cool. Then I'm committed to doing that because you know that I'm going to do that. A promise is like, yeah, I'll do it. I promise I'll do it. It's like an assurance. I don't know. To me, that's the best way I can do it without using the two words. But a promise is like ensuring that person that you're going to do it. And a commitment is like guaranteeing it, or, it's
but
like,
is assurance and guarantee not the same thing? And I'm just asking because
yes, it is, but it's not using the same word.
Right. And I get it because you're intentionally not trying to use the same word.
Yeah.
But when you think about assurance and guarantee, they ultimately mean the same thing.
But you can't use them the same way. So like you can't say like you can't say like, okay, say like an event. I'm gonna commit to being at this event. Like saying that, you can't say like, I guess you can say like, I assure you I'm going to be at this event. Like it's the same thing. I guess all the words are interchangeable. Yes. But
it's semantics, right?
Yeah,
because
it is.
It's all interchangeable words. But my thing is,
But I feel like commitment is when you're committing, when two people, like you're putting someone else in line with it, basically. So like I can commit to something, like say for instance working out. Like I can commit to working out, yes, but that's just me, right? And so if I don't commit to it, like there's nothing. It's not really just a huge commitment because I'm just committed to myself. Yeah, like cool. But if I'm committing to like working out with someone else, then it's holding up someone else like in the balance of it. So I don't know. I guess commitment just to me it means that someone else is in line with it. Whereas like on the other side, what was it? What did you say?
Well, okay. So I get what you're saying because this is the conversation that I had at work because they were focused on the commitment to themselves. Like if I make a commitment to myself, it's me versus me.
Right.
And my thing is, yes, there is a version of commitment to yourself, right? But to me, the definition of commitment means it's an action. It's to prove yourself over time that you are willing, able, and dedicated to whatever this person calls or situation is.
Right.
So a commitment is not something that you can just identify in somebody off top, like how somebody can be beautiful. You can't just look at somebody and see that they are committed. But if you get to know somebody over time, you can identify if they are a dedicated person, if they're hardworking, if they're committed to their dream, they're committed to their goal, they're committed to their health, their lifestyle, those sort of things. When you think about promise, or when I think about promise, I think about how like, somebody can say, hey, I promise I'm not gonna forget to wash the car, or I promise that, I'll be more intentional, like it's something, a promise is not something that somebody does for themselves. Whereas a commitment is something that you can do for yourself. You can do that individually, like commit to a healthy lifestyle, commit to taking care of your baby, commit to.
But I think that again, they're interchangeable because like what you're saying right now seems more histrionic. Like
seems more what?
Histrionic. Basically, like if you are like past tense or something that has happened in the past, like committed. If you've shown commitment, so like if somebody has shown me commitment before, whether it's on the job, whether it's in a volunteer exercise, commitment towards school, commitment in a relationship, commitment toward like personal goals, cool, that is commitment, and that's a different level. When someone shows me promise, though, past tense, all of that is like potential. Promise is potential, and that when you're talking about histrionic phases, right? So like someone who shows promise shows potential. Someone who shows commitment shows consistency. And those are two different things. So if you're talking about in a past tense way, then commitment, then yeah, you can show commitment in a more positive light when you stay on a job a long time, you stay in a relationship a long time, or you stay committed to certain social services or church groups or family groups or friend groups. When you show consistency there, then because of your commitment, that's a positive thing. Showing a longevity of promise is good too, but it's like there's no validity to that because you can be, you know what I'm saying?
So, but like with my job, for instance, I enjoy what I do. I'm committed to going to work every day and being there and showing up each day because I know in that you commit or promise me a paycheck. But that's not to say that if I get a new job, a better job, somebody who's willing to pay me more and willing to, appreciate my value more, that I'm not going to accept that position, accept that role because of the essence of my value.
But I think that's different roles too. Cause so yeah, you have a job, right? And so you're committed to the job for the promise of like payment, right? Not the commitment of payment, but for the promise of payment. So if they said, The difference is their word, right? So commitment is like longevity. It's like consistency of one action that you're implementing, whether it be positive or negative, whatever. Commitment is you're committing to this one act or whatever it is for the promise of something else. So if I'm committed to taking photos of people all day, every day, whatever case may be, it's for the promise of income or wages. And so that's what you're implying. Yet, like if it was reversed, like if you promise that you're going to show up for certain things, and yeah, you can do those things for longevity, it's a commitment. Yes, it turns into a commitment. But like if they're committed to paying you a certain amount, it doesn't matter whether or not you show up for those appointments to do those things. You know what I'm saying? Like for the photography thing, if you're committed to earning $500 every 2 days for, photographing people, like you can promise that you're going to have a certain amount of people photographed or certain things done. But if the commitment is that in those 2 days you're going to earn $500, then that's what you're going to earn, regardless of the promise you make. You know what I'm saying? Like it is the same, but it is different.
And I get it. I think there is a difference between promise. I was doing some research and I was looking at this really interesting article, and it was talking about the difference between promise and commitment, which is what sparked my interest in this conversation. But then they were also saying that one specific person, I can't remember his name, but he coined the phrase like pre-commitment, because it has something to do with, like, if you are in a committed relationship, an exclusive relationship, right? Where you and him identify like we are exclusive with each other, we're only communicating with each other, or we're only dealing with each other. That is a committed relationship. We have identified this as a promise to each other, right? A commitment to each other. So in that light, it's kind of the same thing. But when you think about it, this article that I was reading, it was saying like a commitment is in fact something that is proven by an event or a circumstance, and also proven by belief or attitude. So someone who believes strongly, kind of like how we believe in God without, like, just unconsciously, without even trying. We know God is real. Or without even breathing, we gonna breathe. Without even blinking, we're gonna blink, right? Like it's just unconscious decisions that we make on a regular basis because that's just what we believe, that's what we understand. But if you think about dating in an aspect where this is not a marriage, right? This is not a contract, which is what I was talking to my coworkers about. Like, marriage is a contract. Marriage is business, which is what a lot of people say. A contract, marriage is something that is a fact, something that is proven to people because you have a witness. You have people who can testify like, yes, they are married. You have a wedding band that proves that you are married. You are committed to this person. But when you are in a exclusive relationship and you're dating truly signifies that you are who I choose. And even if I believe that you're the one, there is still no solid commitment between us, because if this doesn't work, I can still go find somebody else who is more compatible with the things that I want, the things that I believe, because we are not in this solid commitment, marriage, promise that is going to bind us to this contract. Because that's what my coworkers were saying, like, well, if I can't use the other word to describe the other thing, which ultimately to me makes me believe that they are the same thing, if you have to use each word to describe the other, then you want to use contract. And my thing is, like, you could be committed to, when you're in an individual, like I was saying, you could be committed to your health. You could be committed to, shaping your body a certain way. Is that a contract with yourself? No, but it's a belief in yourself. It's a series of events. It's a committed, ongoing effort of, responsibility that you choose to, get you to the point of a certain look. Or when it comes to relationships, you believe in this person, you believe in yourself, you believe in y'all's ability to become one, to be united. But it's one thing to be just in an exclusive relationship minus marriage with someone and they happen to cheat on you or happen to show you their true colors. And it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not fucking with you really. Versus being married to someone. And at that point, you want to try to make it work, maybe, right? If you are married to someone, you want to try to exhaust every single possibility that could come up in regards to a situation like that, because I said I'm committed to you. I said that, till death do us part. I said through sickness and health, like whatever the situation is, like I'm committed to trying to make this work to the best of my possibility. And that's what this article was basically kind of talking about. And it really kind of opened my mind to this conversation in regards to promise and commitment. Now, why do you think that people have a difficult time with committing to a person or even to themselves when it comes to things that they want, like their dreams or their goals or things that are new to them that they have to kind of step outside of their comfort zone to achieve?
I think that you just said it. I mean, it's discomfort. Like nobody, like when you think about holding yourself accountable or anybody else holding you accountable to your actions, like that's accountability. Like nobody really wants to intentionally sign up for that. Like you have to be crazy. And they say love is the craziest thing. So like if you're in love with somebody, then I guess that's why you sign up for this shit. But like in all honesty, like it's the accountability factor. Like someone holding you accountable, whether it's, you constantly saying, oh, I know I need to go to the gym. I ain't doing shit right now. All I'm gonna do is play video games and eat some nachos and I can be in the gym. You're holding yourself accountable, and that is discomfort, because what would you rather do? Like your comfortability is sitting on your couch, kicking your feet up and having a joystick in your hand. But your accountability in your mind is telling you, no, you need to go get on that treadmill. Or with certain relationships, if your natural thing is to go out with your girls or go out with your boys and go find the next piece of ass or whatever, but you're now in a committed relationship and you know that you promised yourself and said to yourself, no, I gotta make a change, I'm gonna stay committed. What's comfortable for you? What's comfortable for you is to go do exactly what you've been doing, but now you have to adjust and do something different. So I think that's the big piece of it, is that when you're in an uncomfortable state, it causes you to grow, but that uncomfortable state is still a bitch. Like,
But I think it's supposed to be, right?
It's like, supposed to be a bitch.
It's supposed to stretch you. It's supposed to make something out of you, like something that you never witnessed or experienced in yourself before, right? Like that's the whole point of stretching yourself and, taking uncomfortableness head on, because it's supposed to stretch you. It's supposed to identify something in you that you didn't even realize you had.
But that's why it's so interesting when people who are not ready. So like one thing I've learned in this whole studying process is like people can be like in the, idea in the pre-contemplation stage and then the contemplation stage, and then they want to change. And it's just a whole cycle of things. But if you're in the stage of pre-contemplation, like you don't really know whether or not you know that there's a problem, but you're not necessarily sure you want to take the steps to change those problems. Okay. And so like, what it takes, and people can empower you all day. All they want, like, to stop smoking, all you got to do is blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that seems so easy. Like, yeah, but then, as soon as you step foot on that venture, it's going to be so hard. So you have to think, do I want to put myself through this hard ass struggle of completing like the whole detox or whatever the case may be to get to the other side of that? Or do I just want to keep doing what I'm doing? Like that's the pre-contemplation stage. And that's what I mean by like, not understanding whether or not you want to do that. Cause yeah, we all know like we want to progress in life. We all know we want a better career. We want a better, lifestyle. We want a better job. We want more money. We want, more things in life. We want more vacations or a different schedule or whatever it is that you're going after. But to get to the other side of that, there's going to be some discomfort. There's going to be, are you willing to, work overnights? Are you willing to, study to take an exam that you may or may not pass? Like, what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that's going to put you to that point. Are you willing to, like, if you fucked up in the past with your significant other, are you willing to really put in the work to show this person that they can trust you again? Like,
well, I think you just said it. Like, when it comes to being uncomfortable is allowing yourself, when it comes to elevating in that regard or being committed to something, or why people struggle to be committed to something, is because they struggle with the idea of being uncomfortable. And when you can't allow yourself to be uncomfortable, which nobody likes to be uncomfortable, let's just set that out right there. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable. It's not something that you enjoy at all. And it's really not something that you get used to, because the anxiety that comes from it, the uncertainty that comes from it is different layers to it. But you understand whenever you are a thought-provoking individual that you have to create uncomfortable situations for you in order for you to overcome those obstacles, in order to figure out, okay, I know that I can overcome that. So what's next, And so you hit it right on the nail when you said a lot of people are just not able or unable to identify that they can be uncomfortable, or that they will choose to be uncomfortable with making a decision to commit to something that's gonna be very difficult, like working out. That shit is hard as fuck.
I was just gonna say working out. Like, when you talked about like people who are okay with being uncomfortable, nobody's okay with being uncomfortable except gym rats. Okay, like they love the pain of like tearing their muscles to shreds
at the same time
because they like the results. Like, ultimately, but it's still discomfort.
But they hate the work that has to come with it.
No, they fucking love it.
It's like a love-hate relationship. Like me, for instance, I work out all the time.
I wouldn't consider you a gym rat. I think that you are you're a very focused person. When you have a goal to set, when it comes to physical attributes or whatever it can be, you have a goal, then you stick to it and you execute it. I think that that's the type of person that you are. But then there are gym rats who love the idea of like making themselves hurt so much because they know that the results is gonna be like their arms gonna be shredded or their abs gonna be shredded. Like, but they're okay. Like, they know that that's what's gonna happen, so they're okay with that discomfort because of the results that's gonna come from it. Just like people who decide to have, certain, cosmetic surgeries or something, they know exactly the pain that's gonna come from that procedure, but the results is far outweighs the pain that they're going to go through. So they will go through cosmetic surgery after cosmetic surgery. So like, okay, for me, like, for example, like, I know that when I straighten my hair, it's going to be a little painful. Like, I'm going to have to detangle it. I'm going to have to straighten it. It's not going to stay straight long. I'm going to have to braid it and sew down and all this stuff. But all of that craziness that I go through, the discomfort that I go through, it outweighs like this luxuriousness right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, people, they will endure the pain if the outcome is their desire. But 9 out of 10, when it comes to like relationships, interpersonal relationships, or even like friendship relationships, because the outcome is so uncertain, they're not willing to go through that discomfort of changing the way they are. Like, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, I can change certain things in my life and it's going to be uncomfortable. But if I don't know that the outcome is going to be, happily ever after, how I'm going to be kind of resistant on making myself uncomfortable for that.
Wait a minute, because especially when it comes to, and I just realized I did not start that camera, but when it comes to certain people who are in situationships or relationships, and they are willing to accept a level of treatment that is less than subpar.
Mm-hmm.
And they are committed. Hold on. I think this stopped. And they are committed to something that is less than or subpar. Why is that? Because a lot of times people in those situations, they are comfortable in that situation that they're in. And even though they know it's not right, they know it's wrong, they know that they deserve better, they know they should ask for more, they know that they should distance themselves. But because some people cannot identify themselves in a way that relinquish them from any of those holdings or ties, then it leaves them vulnerable to continue to accept less than, knowing damn well that there's more. And so basically, ultimately, it comes down to why, even, and not just even in relationships, because I know that's what we're talking about, but even at work, like being committed and, knowing your worth and not just accepting or allowing less than, which is a whole nother topic and level of conversation, but just committed to being the best person that you can be, basically, ultimately, in any role that you play, whether it's your personal life, your work life, your love life, your spiritual life, all of those people that you are as an individual, but adjust according to the environment. It makes sense that commitment is something that you continuously prove over and over to yourself. And depending if you're committed to someone, you can, like, just like give your life to Christ, right? You have to prove to God, you have to prove to Jesus that you have every intent to follow him and to live your life as close to his as possible. We are very imperfect. So he already knows the sins that we're going to accommodate every single day before we even do it. However, what is it? Because I was talking about this with one of my co-workers today, and we were talking about like the number one commandment or whatever. Do you know what the number one commandment is?
Honor thy father and the mother.
No, is love the Lord with all your heart.
Oh,
that's the number one commandment. And then the second one is to, love your neighbor as you do yourself, or whatever, however that goes. But in my mind, I'm like, well, aren't all the commandments on an equal basis? Because one commandment is not less than or higher than the other.
That's man who places like hierarchy on different things. God just had to, make sure that they were sent out to the people, and people place them in order and hierarchy and things like that. So
yeah, well, that's true too.
Because remember, he said no sin is greater than the other, and we believe like murder is way worse than lying, but God sees them the same. So it's like we are the one who plays the hierarchy on these things based on our man-made laws and things like that.
But right, because we're so judgmental, and we can't help but be judgmental because we're brought up that way. We're taught to be that way. Everything that we see is, created in the way of judgment.
I mean, we were created in the way of judgment. Like God judged us from the time that we got here. Like you're supposed to do this and not that, and then we did that, and now there's judgment. And so our children and our children's children, all the, whatever will be judged. So he gave us that enlightenment, not for us to just take and judge each other, but what choice we have. implement what we see. And so just like God judges us, then we judge each other. And, just like there are sins created because he gave us free will, there's more and more things, even the most heinous things that you wouldn't even know, like things, God, there's stuff that people do that are horrible and heinous. They're not in the Bible because there's just more and more sins brought up every single day. Like, there's nothing we can do about them except try to cope with them. But the fact of the matter is that commitment and promise do mean the same, but can be differentiated, because you can be committed to something, but you can commit to something, and at the same time you can promise yourself something, and it's the same thing. But on the other end, you can commit to something and have promise, and it'd be different. So either way, like, it can be differentiated, but it can also be the same. That's why God, I don't say God, because man definitely created language, but that is why there's so many different ways to say things. There's so many different languages and things. Like,
wait, did you know? Because this is what I learned from my coworker, my manager, who is a pastor. He was telling me that there was only one language up until, Mary and Joseph went to the inn to try to pay their taxes because everybody was in town that night. And because there was no room in the inn, because everybody was in town, then that's why they ended up having Jesus in a manger. And after that night, that's when like all the different languages were born.
I've never heard that before in my life. But you know what? I've learned so much about culture and religion and people over the past 5 years working in the job that I work in, that may be exactly what he believes. Sometimes other people's beliefs and how they interpret things that happen in my own religion can sway me into thinking that way. And sometimes I'd be like, I call bullshit. I'd be like, no. But that's my interpretation of it. And I believe that the God that I serve doesn't want me to follow man's and other people's interpretation of the Bible. And that if I do, it's only because I believe that it makes sense. And so that is why everybody has their ability to discern who they're going to follow. God selects certain, shepherds, aka pastors, to lead certain flocks who can understand the interpretation that they have for the Bible. And if I understand their interpretation and I agree with their interpretation, then that is what I'll follow. And that's what I'll go with. And I know other people who are atheists who don't really just believe say that, oh my God, like, that's why I don't do Christians, because there's no consistent, interpretation of the Bible. There's no consistency in your religion. Well, in all honesty, like, this is white man's religion. Like, we have a colonized religion. That's just what it is. When we were brought, we, as in not me, my ancestors, African-American ancestors, African people, the speaker went off. When African people were brought to, North America to colonize this region, like, we were taught this religion. And so this is all we know. And our interpretation of it is always going to be skewed until we understand the religion of our homeland, if we choose to. But it's always going to be our choice. Just like we don't have to choose Christianity. We can choose, Catholicism. We can choose, Catholic, which is basically Christian. We can choose any religion that we want to. But the fact of the matter is that you have to subject yourself to being higher than yourself and a higher calling. And that's what's going to help you get through your life. Like, I believe that as a clinician. I believe that as a person, that if you think you're just going to get through by with life just by saying, oh, we just here, there's no reason why we're here, then whatever. But ultimately, like, I get it. Your guy's a pastor and he knows our pastor and he, blase. But like, Yeah, no. I mean, I don't dismiss people's beliefs and things. I just ask that they don't shove it down my throat. Like that's all, because I'm not gonna believe everything everybody believes, even if they serve the same God I serve, even if they're in the same, religious bubble that I'm in. But I'm not gonna believe everything.
And that's my thing too. Like I will listen to things that sound profound, things that sound interesting or seem to be true. And then I will take it upon myself to research and look it over and decide if I'm going to believe it or not. But just because you give me information doesn't mean I'm going to accept that as gospel or accept that as truth, because there's plenty of information that I will hear, but I don't accept that, especially at work. I'm like, okay, well, I hear what you're saying, but I don't accept that. That's not gonna do it for me. That's not acceptable. That's very unacceptable. And I need, something to be done about this. So, you know, circling back around to our initial, question and just conversation in regards to commitment and why people, they're just some people who are afraid to commit because it seems like it's, this ultimate giving of yourself. And in a way it is, but we already know there's different levels to it. There's obviously different levels, different metrics, and different circumstances that are going to dictate whether a certain level of commitment is qualified or required or not. And then that's going to be versus whether a promise is acceptable or not. People just have to literally understand what their version of commitment is and be able to decipher when somebody is being committed to you, because a commitment between people, y'all have to be on the same page. It's crucial. It is very critical. It is very, very important to be on the same page as another person if y'all are committing to each other and you're understanding where each other stands on, certain things. But when it comes to commitments to yourself, as far as, your healthy lifestyle, your, career advancement, your spiritual journey, those things that you are committed to yourself to develop within yourself to make sure that you are a better individual for yourself, which ultimately is going to be a better individual for anybody who comes in contact with you, whether that's a lover, a friend, or a job opportunity, is only going to work for your benefit. Mm-hmm. So, I just thought, yeah, it's just is a great conversation to have and kind of bring up in regards to promise and commitment, because, it can work interchangeably. And we make a lot of promises. People make a lot of promises that, are broken. And people make commitments that they cannot hold themselves to. And so it's just important to identify what's important to you and how you can, create more opportunities to be a person of your word, because all we have is our word. All we have is our character at the end of the day. And if somebody can't trust you to do exactly what you say you're going to do, then nobody can really believe in you. You can't even really commit or promise anybody anything, because your word is not your bond. You are not someone who is deemed trustworthy. And that's a terrible place to be in at that point. So, it's just definitely something that is worth thinking about, and something that is definitely, open to conversation, because even they were just trying to give me like an immediate response. And I'm like, just take it home and think about it and just think it over. Because even like when I think I told you about that, but I had like, because I got this from one of my favorite podcasts, and they were talking about which one is most important, love or respect. And I brought that up to them, and they still have been thinking about that. And I'm like, yeah, because you your mind isn't made up. Because he said love was most important.
Who said that?
My manager.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, is it really? Because I know you saying it from like a pastor point of view, from oh yeah, God said, love surrenders all, or whatever like his, quote or scripture was from. But it's like, no, I'm asking you as an individual, not as a pastor, but as an individual, what you believe, not what a pastor says you should believe. What as an individual you believe. Because if you individually believe that love is more important than respect, then okay, I'll accept that. But they're both very, very important. So I'm not saying that one is not important. I'm just saying which one is most important, a little bit more important than the other. But
I think that is exactly why women have so much better results when finding a life partner, when they have established a genuine friendship with a guy. Because I was reading this little blog thing today where this girl was like how she finds she's so protected and so respected and all this stuff by her guy friends, but the black men she's dated, but the black men that she's been in a relationship with have not had the same, she hadn't had the same results. And I think that it's because you gain the respect of a man when you're their friend first, or when you're just their friend. Because like the guys that I consider my genuine friends, they have the utmost respect for me and I them. And as I was on the dating, path or whatever, I would find like, why my homeboys treat me so good, but they just my homeboys and they don't want me and I don't want them. But like, how come I can't get this type of respect from niggas who claim they just want to be with me? They want to do this and do that. And then they don't, because when women gain the respect of a man first, then everything else will follow. Like, if they ever fall in love with you or whatever case may be, they have your respect first. But if you get them, love is not a thing that ties them to you, it's the respect. Or love is the thing that ties them to you, yes, but respect is what allows you to coexist together, because they won't just have you out here, struggling, and they won't have you out here doing stuff by yourself, or, taking on the load by yourself, or doing the extra work. Like, they're going to consider you in everything instead of just like allowing you to do shit. Just, oh, I'm in love with you and you in love with me, so this is what you got to do to keep me type bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about mutual respect. Like, that's my boy, that's my girl, that's my friend. This is how I want her to move. This is how I want to, accommodate her, or whatever the case may be, and vice versa. And so I know that I have that type of respect from my male friends, but I can't say that I've just had that respect with the guys I've dated, because they don't have that respect factor first, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that commanding masculinity trait, because that's been a highlight conversation lately. It's like, is masculinity toxic?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, masculinity is not toxic, but when you take it to a level that berates women or makes women feel less than or lower than, then absolutely it's going to become toxic.
That's not even masculinity. I think that is
control.
That and it's also like, what are you doing? You're overcompensating. Like, if you gotta belittle a woman to make yourself good, like how.
And a lot of men feel that they have to do that just because they are the man, and they feel like, okay, well, let me put her in her place. And it's like, no, you can come across a strong ass woman who is about her business, who is about that life, who, is gonna handle it, who gonna get it done, who gonna, make sure that shit is taken care of. Mm-hmm. But if you're not on her energy level, which is why I tell you all the time, like, I match your energy. Like, it's all about the energy you're giving. I'm gonna match that tenfold. But it's so important to have somebody who matches your energy and who can be on the level that you are. Because if you settle, which is ultimately what you're doing for someone who you just accept them for what they can give, which is not enough, then you are gonna feel a level of resentment. And unfortunately, that just comes with the territory because you're not being completely fulfilled. But, neither here nor there. We didn't got, all the way off on love and respect, but still, all of these things tie in hand completely clearly when it comes to commitment and when it comes to, promising someone. But, I guess like, because I was reading up and it was saying like commitment is in fact, and it has to do with attitude and belief. But but when they say in fact, it's like something that is proven, like a ceremony, something that somebody can say, hey, I witnessed this, hey, I know that they have, dedicated themselves to each other. But like you can't do that shit with a friendship. You can't do that shit with a job. Like, but a job is more contractual where you are signing paperwork and you are agreeing to show up at a certain time to,
Exactly.
Accommodate them with this type of, role and responsibilities and duties. But a friendship, like just a relationship, that shit does not come into play. Either you a good ass person and you a good ass friend and people gonna accept you for that, or you got to jump the deuces because y'all not compatible. Y'all not matching. Y'all don't have the same mentality, the same growth mindset, and it just comes to that. But I think this has been a really, really great conversation in regards to commitment and just opening up the conversation in that regard about promises and things of that nature. Because as adults, we don't really think about like who really making promises nowadays. Like, people don't
That's
really
why
respect.
I attribute them to fantasy and stuff because I'm like, a promise is like, oh, you're a pinky promise, like you do with the
Well, that's
little
what I'm about to,
5-year-old.
well, that's what I'm about to say. Like, as an adult, like you don't really respect promise rings. Do you?
No, I don't. I
Do
mean,
people
there are
really
people who
respect promise
do. Don't
rings?
get me wrong. There are people who do.
There are people who do.
But like, I'm not like when I think about my colleagues, my friends, my family. Like, I'm not promising shit. Like, I'm committing. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna commit me. And like, my commitments always come with like validation. Like, yes, I'm gonna be there. Here's the flight that I already booked. Or yes, I'm gonna work for you. Send me your schedule for the week so I can cover you. Like, it's always followed up with some type of proof that this is what I'm gonna do. Yes, I'm gonna, come and help or wash your car or whatever the case may be. I'll be there on this day. I'm setting up shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, oh, I promise, I promise. Promises are empty as hell these days because there's no like checkpoints. Like, and I mean, commitments usually have checkpoints because when I'm committed to myself, I'm committed to, okay, I'm gonna work out 5 days a week. I have to put numbers on that. I have to put days on it. I have to put stuff in there because if I don't, what is a commitment if I'm not like putting parameters around the commitment? Because I can promise all day, oh, I'm pinky promise, I'm gonna see you again. But like that's for children.
But when I think about it, even like nowadays as grown as adults, I mean, you could say you promise, but most of the time you're not using that specific language. Just like you're not using like specific commitment, like I, I'm gonna commit to you from here on now, or like you and your relationship, like y'all didn't just say, I'm gonna commit to you here now, or I promise to be exactly right. Like y'all just kind of decided a day where y'all were actually official and y'all took it from there, which is a lot of times what happens in real ass relationship. Let's just keep it honest. Like people just find themselves in a semi-permanent relationship where they're just like, you know what, we've been dealing with each other, or this didn't happen and we've been riding with each other, and why not, like we're gonna establish that we've been this since this day. And that's what kind of happened. That's what happened in my last relationship. We were just kind of like, okay, well, we've been talking, we've been, dealing with each other. So let's just say on this day is when we made it official, when really it was never made official. So I don't know why we do that, but that's just how we do. And I think we need to do
adulting.
No, I think we need to do a better job with opening up those lines of communication, beforehand to identify like what is commitment to each other, what how do we identify when we are in a committed relationship instead of just accidentally
exploring those lines is one thing, but having the tenacity at that point to do that means that you have something to establish. If you don't have something established, then you just kind of like peeling,
you just wasting time,
right? Like, but at the same time, like, if you have the justification to do that, then cool, yeah, go ahead and do that. But like, I think that in adulthood, like, we don't really have to define it as that unless it's like people, because I've seen how like some of these men are taking it to the next level with proposing to be somebody's boyfriend, like really saying like, oh, I'm gonna do all this and ask her to be my girlfriend. Like, I think that is phenomenal because you take the question out of women who are like, what are we? Like, women hate that shit as much as like we make fun of that shit, and men hate that women ask that. But like, if you put a woman in a place where she has to like question that shit, you've done poor communication and she's allowed that poor communication. Right. Just saying. But men who are like working up to it and like, oh, I can't wait to ask her to my girlfriend. This is what I'm gonna do. You niggas, thumbs up. Thumbs up to all you niggas who doing that, because like, we need more of that. We need less like, oh my God, I don't know what we're doing type shit. Not just among men, but among women too, because women are taking the lead and like leading niggas on too. Like, it's crazy. Like, why are we in this society of people who hurt people? Like, that's so stupid. So like, if we're in that, because like in my relationship, like we didn't know what it was, but it was just because it was such a difficult time in my life at the time. I don't know if he would have done those type of parameters. I don't know if he wouldn't. But the point is, like, we ended up where it was, and we just decided, okay, this is what we're doing, so this is who we are. It wasn't a like, what are we type situation, but sometimes that happens. And it's like, why does it have to happen? Like,
it shouldn't have to happen.
Right. Like, women get, grab your loins and be like, don't say, what are we? Just say, hey, I feel like we're vibing and we're moving toward a relationship. Is that what you're looking for? Is that what we're heading towards? If this nigga say no, then say, okay, cool. I misread. I'm going to fall back, and literally fall back. Like, just stop fucking with this nigga because that's stupid. Or vice versa. If you feel like this woman is rocking with you tough and y'all are building something together, say, hey, I've noticed that we're doing this and that. I would really like it if you were my girlfriend. Or can I call you that? Or like, figure out a way to communicate that shit, because the craziness that we doing, and I don't know if it's just in the Black community, because I don't fuck with a lot of white people, but like, it's really terrible in our community that we just avoiding being committed. Like, if that's who you want and you're just like, oh, I don't know, because it might be somebody else out there, that's the point of dating. You're not marrying this motherfucker. You're just committing to being exclusive with them. So y'all not fucking everybody in the world and spreading out a bunch of diseases. That was my TSA for the day. I'm done. Okay. Take it away.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, you want to just make sure that you are on the same page as the person that you're dealing with. Period, point blank. And I was reading, and we're gonna close it out because I had responded to like this tweet, I think, and she was talking about, oh no, it was like, of course, this viral video that went, crazy, and it was this guy asking, what do women bring to the table? And it's like,
oh, I remember that one.
Homie.
I can't remember his name, but he had like dreads or something.
Yeah, if you are having conversations with the right women, you will identify and you will be able to see what a woman can bring to the table. That shouldn't be a question that you ask somebody. Like,
he was really saying, like, everything you can bring to the table, I can pay for. Like, nigga, everything you bring to the table, I can pay for.
But the thing is, you're not asking. I mean, no, you should be having open-ended conversations. Absolutely. But you should not be, the question should not be, what do you bring to the table? What the fuck type of question is that? What table? You should be getting to know this person and identifying what this person is great at, what this person does not enjoy doing, what this person looks forward to doing, what this person's goals are, what this person's personality is. That's how you get to identify somebody and see what the fuck they bring to the table. That's how you identify a person's personality, their non-negotiables, their intangibles. Okay. That's what's most important is the things that they can bring to the table that are not seen, the peace that they can give you,
I think that
love
homeboy
that
is
they can give
determined to be like this 97-year-old person who's like by himself on a rocking chair.
He just wants to be
on his biggest
he
stage.
Just wants to make a point. Hold on,
with all these kids.
Hold on, let me see, because I think this is not recording. But
yeah, he's determined to be like this old ass person on his biggest day with all his maids and shit, with all these kids that he probably impregnated, all these black women and white women and Hispanic women and all these kids that he got, because he doesn't believe that any woman can bring anything to the table, but
he's
yet
just choosing the wrong women,
fucking up all these other households.
He's choosing the wrong women. He's choosing these women who are gold diggers. Let's just put it that way. Because if you're making money, you're gonna attract the women who are looking to dig up in the pockets, and that's just period, point blank. And if you are handsome young man with making money, you are gonna feel like you are already at the top, because that's how you men do. Y'all are so prideful, and y'all are so self-assured that y'all can have any woman that you choose. So you always choose the women who are the most beautiful, but who are also the least intelligent, and who are the most money hungry. And so therefore,
I said they got some type of smarts, because they're not dealing with the broke niggas.
I mean, no, niggas should not be dealing with broke bitches, and bitches should not be dealing with broke niggas. But that's what ends up happening, basically. And ultimately, you end up with these people who have very high expectations that you are really not willing to commit, because they're not willing to commit the same high expectations that they have on you. And that's the problem. If I have high expectations for you, I want to expect that you're going to have high expectations for me. You should. I mean, you better not have high expectations for me, and I'm not having high expectations for you. I mean, you got me all the way twisted, but that's what ends up happening. So moral of the story is that if you get to know somebody on an intimate level and stop just having these surface level ass conversations like, hello, how was your day type of bullshit, and you actually get to know a person for, who they are and what they working on and what they like to do and what their goals are, you're going to ultimately be able to uncover exactly what it is that they about. And that's just on period. So I think that is going to wrap us up for this evening. I think this was a really great conversation. It definitely was. And I appreciate you for tuning into the podcast you're obsessed with. Definitely tune in. Stay tuned in, because it's some more coming your way. Follow us on social media, of course. So we are on Instagram and Twitter. Of course, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Rate us. I would really appreciate it. Shout out your social media, girl. I know you don't be on there, but
I really don't. But what is my social media? It's yes V can, yes _V _can, Instagram. What is my Twitter?
Bro, you definitely be on Twitter, so we ain't gonna
tweets #4V. Is there underscore in there? I
don't know, but
I don't be on nothing. I just be on Katie's podcast.
The Uncovered podcast, okay? And you already know it's Katie, the one and only. You can follow me on my Snapchat. Why the fuck did I say Snapchat? Because I do have Snapchat, but no. Instagram, social media, Uncovered _ cover girl with the K, of course. But until next time, I appreciate you rocking with me. Stay tuned. It's the podcast you're obsessed with. Thank you for stopping by.